Minecraft 1.20 is adding a massive amount of new things, including even more secret additions to the game, so learn 20 of these secret new features right now. There was added a little bit after the original armor trims, some new armor trims that are only found in one location, which is in the Trail Ruins structure. Now inside of this we can find these 4 smithing templates, and they are the Host armor trim, the Shaper armor trim, the Razor armor trim, and the Wayfinder armor trim. So we have these 4 armor trims laid out. The first one over here is the Host armor trim, gold armor trim on netherite of course, and you can see here this has very bold lines that go all the way around it with this big band on the helmet. This one is called the Razor armor trim, and you can notice it has sort of angry eyebrows on it, but it also is a gold line that goes all the way around the top, with some interesting zigzaggy and bizarre patterns. And of course we go on to the Wayfinder armor trim with this interesting pattern that's almost 2 pixels thick, but sometimes it goes up or downwards. We have the Shaper armor trim, which has almost nothing on the main part of the chest plate, but does have some very nice looking gold trims all the way around the rest of the armor, including the boots and the leggings. Signs in general are actually being updated quite a bit in Minecraft 1.20, and this has nothing to do with these 2 new sign variants. And I'm not even talking about the brand new hanging signs, which also come in every wood variant. It's more or less that, as well as being able to put really important text on the front of the sign, you're actually able to go around to the back of the sign now, right click on that empty surface, and write whatever you'd like. For instance, just on the back here, also turn on notifications and leave a comment, which in my opinion is a very good message. And so we now have a 2-sided sign. Let's place a cherry sign over here next to these turtles, and name this area as a Turtle Beach. And what's nice about that is we can go onto the back here and call it a Turtle Beach as well, and then we don't have to have 2 of these blocks placed down to have a 2-sided sign. One thing you should be really careful of though is if you dye one side of the sign, that dye is not applied to both sides. Same with the glow inks. The next time that you're running through a snowy biome inside of Minecraft 1.20, you're going to notice this secret new change to the game, and that's the fact of combination step sounds. Now this might be a little bit difficult to hear, but more or less what's happening is that Minecraft is playing 2 sounds when we walk over these small snow layers. The first sound is the sound of whatever block that snow layer is on top of now. So of course right here it would be grass. And then the second sound is the sound of the snow. And so if we walk through here, if you listen really carefully, we can actually hear 2 different sounds. However, this does not just work for snow, it also works for carpet. As you can tell right here, we walk over this purple carpet, we can hear the grass sound as well as the carpet sound. And not even being limited to those blocks, it even plays with crimson roots, warped roots, and nether sprouts. Definitely Minecraft's nether forests have a lot of interesting sound design to them already, but I'm pretty sure this will make that even crazier. The Sentry and Dune smithing templates were added originally with all the other armor trims, however it's been changed quite a bit what they look like. So let's take a look at these armor trim textures. The Dune armor trim is entirely brand new. As this pattern was never featured on any other armor trims, it was added pretty recently. This armor trim is a very interesting design with the back of it almost looking to have an eye on it, and the front of it also having a very interesting texture, very eye-like, which is something that I do like, but it also makes for a very unique and good armor trim because a lot of the armor trims are quite similar to each other. Now something also interesting is that the Sentry armor trim has been changed. You see the texture that used to be for the Dune armor trim is now the texture of the Sentry armor trim. And I always did like the old Dune armor trim because it looked quite interesting, having this kind of flower-like pattern of the 4 dots in the center, forming that kind of shape that was present throughout most of the armor with very straight lines being throughout the rest of it. 1.20 is adding a very large brand new structure, the Trail Ruins. This is an archaeological structure because generated right here is some suspicious gravel. Now this structure when it was first added to the game generated with suspicious gravel as well as suspicious sand, and there was a lot of both sand and gravel present at this structure. However, if we dig a little bit crazy around here, unfortunately destroying a lot of those valuable blocks and items, what you'll notice is there's actually no sand in the structure anymore. In fact, the more we dig through this, you can see we're revealing a huge amount of blocks, but none of those blocks happen to have sand. And if you're wondering why Mojang decided to do this, removing the suspicious sand from this structure, Well, the reason why is that both the sand and the gravel in the structure had the same loot in it, and so there wasn't really a reason to having both of those, so I'm guessing that what Mojang decided to do is to simplify the structure by getting rid of all those sand elements. Now before we leave the trail ruin, there's something we have to find here inside of the suspicious gravel, because only inside of the suspicious gravel, which is found at the trail ruin, we can find this brand new item, this music disc made by Aaron Cheroff, and it is called Relic. Definitely looks like it was made out of clay with a blue center to it. If we play it on the jukebox, we can hear what this brand new music disc sounds like. Very interesting sound, kind of a pixelated tune, but also matching the rest of what's in the game already. I would really suggest for you to go out exploring the trail ruin to find this very vintage and interesting sounding music disc, which I think adds a lot to the game, but also blends in well with what's currently there. This is an amazing new tune for us to go through all of our 1.20 adventures with. Just listening to this song makes me excited for the new update, as I'm sure it does for you as well. Now if you thought Mojang was done with secret overpowered changes to the signs in Minecraft 1.20, you'd be wrong. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. And that's the fact that once you've placed your message on the sign, if you're not really happy with what you've written down, or if maybe there's some mistakes in that, you can right click on that sign again and actually edit the text without any need to go back and destroy the sign. You see, whereas before we'd have to break the sign, place it back down, and then of course re-input the text, this time all we have to do is right click on there and get rid of one of the characters. So honeycomb is used to stop copper from oxidizing, but it can also be used to seal on whatever is on a sign. We can seal that with honeycomb just like this. There's even particles there. And now because of that, we can right click on this as many times as we want and we won't be able to edit it. And this even applies to dyes and glowing. There is an armor trim inside the ancient city. And no, I'm actually not talking about the new ward armor trim, which obviously is exclusive to this structure. Actually, there are now 2 armor trims in the ancient city, and the second one is called Silence. Now although I wish these Sculk Shriekers would be silent, we do at very least have this smithing template of this name. Let's take a look at each one of the patterns on this armor stand. You can see the hat here has a ton of different design on it. In fact, with the hat having a huge amount of different pattern on it, this really does revolutionize the look of whatever armor you're wearing. Next, for the chest plate, you can see there's again pattern all over there, looking almost like a superhero suit, and on the front here, we have kind of like this interesting pattern in the center here, maybe to show like there's muscles on the armor, like what they sometimes did in ancient civilizations. Now here on the boots, there's also a lot of the trim. In fact, you can see on the leggings here, there is just tons of that diamond all over the leather. I'm about to tell you what I think is probably one of the biggest secrets in Minecraft 1.20, and that's the fact that trail ruins really are just ancient villages. Now you can see we have a village right up here, and next to it is the little bit of the trail ruin that was of course shown above the grass. But if we go beneath that, you can see we have part of this village that ended up just being buried underground. So if we go in here, the number one thing that really does confirm this is the large amount of villager workstations. So for instance, you can see looms inside of different structures in here, but also going down along the main path inside of these side buildings, there'll sometimes be different workstations inside of those as well, such as furnaces, and you can even find crafting tables in this structure. But as well as that, we have these little burnt up areas with coal blocks in it, and of course even just the layout of it, different buildings along a main roadway, really does resemble the village. If you have played Minecraft at all in the last year, you definitely have run across this sound, the absolutely annoying shriek of the Sculk Shrieker. However, the amazing thing is the fact that in 1.20 we have a secret change to the Sculk Shrieker, and this change makes it way better. And so basically what it is if you go up to a Sculk Shrieker and you waterlog it, that waterlogged Sculk Shrieker will no longer make any sounds. We've actually triggered that naturally placed Sculk Shrieker now, and there was no sound, plus our particles were turned off. And so because of that, we actually had no way of knowing that we literally just triggered the warden, other than of course the darkness effect. So you can use this in 2 different ways. The first one of course is to make it so that players cannot find the location of a shrieker, as for an example right there. Again, did not look like we set it off, but we absolutely did. As well as the Relic music disc, there are 4 new songs in Minecraft 1.20, all by Aaron Cheroff, of course along with the Relic music disc. These songs play across various locations locations in the game that are somewhat related to 1.20, as for example the Cherry Grove biome. This music has been compared as being a mixture between Lena Raine and C418, and I would say it definitely has the Minecraft style to it, fitting into the game well, but also definitely being unique to anything we've heard in the game before, and really having quite a beautiful sound to it. I think that Minecraft overall is doing a great job in adding new music to the game. After all, I don't see any reason why Minecraft couldn't have hundreds of music tracks in it eventually, and it's crazy to think that players will be hearing this music for many years to come and associate it with all their memories of playing the game. Now I'm sure most people watching this video have raided the Desert Temple many times, but the Desert Temple has actually been changed, adding a brand new secret room into it in Minecraft 1.20. Now of course there is different treasure in the Desert Temple as well, with for instance there now being some armor trims that can be found in the chests down there, but as well as that you might notice on the floor, instead of it being pure sandstone, we do have certain sections that are just standard sand. And so if you get out a shovel and break all that standard sand, while also of course brushing away any suspicious sand that might be down here, once we've completely cleared all the sand out of this space, you might notice something really interesting, which is the fact that this entire area has opened up and we now have an entire new secret chamber in here. Now this chamber has the same terracotta pattern on it as the main chamber does, however there is suspicious sand that generates down here normally, and so that's kind of the treasure of this new area. Minecraft Java Edition has got a brand new logo, as you can see. Now this logo used to be a lot more pixelated and cracked, whereas now this logo definitely resembles Minecraft 1.20 a lot more. You can also see in the background here we have a beautiful diorama of the cherry tree biome. It's kind of funny to me that that's all they show for Minecraft 1.20 because there is so much more that was added to the game. If I was Mojang, I at very least would have had the Trio Ruins be shown here, and I'd love to get your opinion. What do you think of this new Minecraft Java Edition logo and 1.20 overall? Of course, we have things like the camel that have been added to the game, but there's a ton more features, and be sure to leave all your thoughts about it down below. And Mojang has even decided to change the logos that the game has that you see on your computer. So for example, instead of the grass block in the crafting table, there is now a dirt block that shows when the game is open. Sculk sensors, although they were originally added way back in Minecraft 1.17, have been updated quite a bit in Minecraft 1.20, and another new update has been added to this can fully power the block that is underneath it. So for instance, this Sculk sensor right here, there is an oak block underneath it, and the Sculk sensor can actually send its signal through here into the comparator. We'll throw down a block, and you can notice we have a lot of power coming out of there, whereas if we throw down a block over here, there is some signal, but it is much less. What this means is that the Sculk sensor is actually sending all the information through there as well. Now why is this so useful? If you surround the Sculk sensor in blocks, then you waterlog it. Basically that would then make it silent, but the normal issue with that is that there's nowhere to put a comparator to get the signal out of there. The good news is that now the way the Sculk sensor works, you can actually get power out of here with the comparator this way, but also down below it. Speaking of Sculk sensor changes, the new Calibrated Sculk sensor also has an interesting change to it, and that's the fact of its cooldown timer. Let's do something to trigger both of these at once, like let's say jump, and you'll notice they both turn on, but this one turns off first, then this one turns off. Why is that? What used to happen is both of these sensors would turn off at the same time. Well, Mojang has decided to make the Calibrated Sculk sensor be absolutely as redstone friendly as possible, and so because of that it only has a 1 second cooldown, allowing it to process things quicker and to be much more useful overall. But the old Sculk sensor still has a 2 second cooldown, and so because of this there's actually a really visible difference between a Sculk sensor turning off in 1 second like this versus 2 seconds like this. Actually, another interesting little difference to the Calibrated Sculk sensor is the texture has been somewhat changed, making this central crystal way larger. In 1.20 Mojang has fixed a bug, which makes using dispensers in boats way better now. And so basically what the idea is that if you have a dispenser facing a block that is not water, and you then activate that dispenser, nothing will happen. They'll just be like a boat item that flies out. However, of course, if that's facing water and you turn it on and off, we will have a boat appear. And all this is how it worked before 1.20 as well, but this has changed a little bit, because this does not have to be a big ocean. All you have to do is have a single block of water. It can even be a waterlogged block. In fact, we can literally go as far as covering covering the waterlogged block. And if we activate that dispenser, you can see a boat still appears. Now this is the difference. The boats used to appear kind of inside the dispenser all glitched like this, but now in Minecraft 1.20 we can now have a boat dispenser that is not really required to be next to a big ocean. Minecraft's GUI, also known as Graphical User Interface, has different levels that it can be scaled at. I prefer to play with it being on a very large scale because then it works for most viewers to be able to read all the text as it's then not too small. And generally the way to switch your graphical user interface if you want is on your video settings. You can see there's a tab right here that says GUI scale, and you can click that to change the interface scale. As you can see right here, we can change it to be very small or larger, of course. However, Minecraft 1.20 has added a super little secret feature to it, which is if you hold Control on your keyboard and then you use the scroll wheel, you can actually use that to go between your graphical user interfaces. And we can scale this anywhere from 1 all the way up to 4 by literally just holding Control and using the scroll wheel, but only on the video settings tab. I did mention earlier how the Calibrated Sculk sensor has a much larger crystal on it now, and of course it also has a much smaller cooldown, being a 1-second cooldown instead of the standard Sculk sensor's 2-second cooldown. But Mojang has also buffed the Calibrated Sculk sensor in another way, and that is range. So the standard Sculk sensor has a range of 8. If we place down a standard Sculk sensor on top of a block, and we jump on this 8th block, you'll notice the sounds and signals we do are able to travel over to that Sculk sensor, meaning of course that this standard Sculk sensor has an 8-block range. However, the Calibrated Sculk sensor has a 16-block range. That is right, exactly double the range, and if we jump around and do things over here, you can see the signal goes all the way over and is picked up by the Calibrated Sculk sensor, even though we are 16 blocks away. Maps in Minecraft are one of my absolutely favorite items, because of course you can take an area that's being shown in a 3D way in the game, but then on side of a map you can have a 2D representation of it. You might be wondering, what does any of this have to do with 1.20? Well, it's the fact that inside of Minecraft 1.20 you can actually screenshot maps. If you want to have the original PNG of this map be saved, all you have to do is press F3 and hold it, and then also press S on your keyboard, and it'll say saved dynamic textures to screenshot/debug. Click that as it is a link. And we are on Minecraft screenshots and then debug, and you can see this saves all of the dynamic textures. Now that basically means things like maps. There's also of course some other things in here, like let's say the painting textures, stuff like that saved. You can even see every single pixel on the map is 1 pixel on the actual saved file, so this is a perfect direct conversion of that texture. In Minecraft 1.20, Mojang has decided to secretly upgrade the Jukebox because now it works with droppers as well as hoppers. So for an example, let's throw a music disc into this hopper and you'll notice it gets funneled right into that jukebox. Now unfortunately at this point there's no way to pull a disc out of a jukebox, so for example right here we just cannot pull that out of the bottom with a dropper, only with right click does that come out, but still it is pretty fun, and of course as well as that we can use the dropper. So if we place a disc inside the dropper we can right click here and have that play. And what's really awesome about the dropper is we can use its random functionality to actually get a shuffling music disc. So we have cat, blocks, and wait inside the dropper. There's a 33% chance of any of these. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be blocks. Let's find out. It was blocks, just randomly. So it is random which one will play every time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video about 20 new secrets in Minecraft 1.20 you didn't know. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to press the like button, subscribe to see more content like this, comment down below what you think of the video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.